How's it going, guys? And welcome to Billy the Batboy's Corner, presented by Up On Game. I'm Billy Pinckney, and today we have a fantastic, inspirational guest joining us. It's Gavin Johns, professional baseball player, and he's done so much not only on the baseball field, but also outside of the field in real life with people, inspiring them, and doing what he can to help instill knowledge and wisdom, share his stories, and he's faced a lot. And he had Tommy John surgery in college as a position player. He also then transferred from UCLA to Tennessee Tech. And these are all situations that weren't easy for somebody like him to deal with. And he's sharing his story and doing what he can to inspire others. So without further ado, let's introduce Gavin Johns. All right, guys, we're here alongside Gavin Johns, professional baseball player. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Billy. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have a great story, and I want to throw it back to your college days. UCLA and then Tennessee Tech, two great schools right there that you attended and played at. But a little damper was put in your plans when you had Tommy John surgery. So could you take me through the process of going to a school like UCLA and then realizing that you're going to have the surgery and that might change things a little bit?
Absolutely. So, first off, coming from Southern California, born and raised, growing up in Temecula. It's always been, a dream of mine, a goal to play on ESPN at UCLA, so every, waking hour of the day as I was growing up, I was, in the weight room, on the baseball field, in the cages, every day, hitting with my dad, hitting with my brother and friends and teammates, and was focused on that goal of, getting to UCLA, play on ESPN, God blessed me with that opportunity, had to, work extremely hard for it and persevere through many obstacles, but ended up, making that come to fruition, which was a real blessing. And once I got there, it was just an amazing experience, learned so much from the coaches, from my teammates, from just the university, not just baseball, academics as well. It was a great experience all around and definitely helped mold me into the man I am today. And then, that next year coming back, I was super motivated, to just keep improving as a player and as a person, and came back and was, I think, overtraining a little too much, kind of overworking myself, pushing the limits. That's what we do, but sometimes it's a little too much and it comes to bite us. But so that happened. Unfortunately, got that news, and had to undergo the Tommy John surgery. It was a very difficult year, to say the least. But I learned a lot of things through that year, patience, and learned a lot just about my body, how to take care of it as a baseball player. And, for longevity, it's so important, staying on the field, staying healthy. And oddly enough, I'm thankful that happened to me. So I had to learn those lessons. I got to learn those lessons, and now it can help me, for my future. So,
yeah, I know you're a man of faith. When did that become more prevalent to you? Was that earlier in your college days that you realized that there's something more than just baseball and what I'm working towards on the field?
So growing up, my family, we went to church kind of occasionally, but I had a few just really solid mentors in my life, and family and outside of family that really helped, plant those seeds. But for me personally, I wouldn't say that I was real strong in the faith growing up. It wasn't like I was a terrible person, doing bad things, but, that core relationship with God, it wasn't there, and that's something that everyone has to find for themselves and create that relationship. And so when I went away to college, I went junior college, my freshman year, to Yavapai College, and you're out of state, living on your own, you start to develop your own thoughts, and you start to take in the world from a different perspective. And that was a huge year of growth for me. And, I started, just to be honest, chasing, a lot of the, worldly things, partying and things like that. And after a while, it just kind of got old. And so, I was looking for something more meaningful. And, that's when, I allowed God to come into my life, and he blessed me. He gave me, true peace, true fulfillment that I had been searching, in a lot of other avenues. But that's what he does, and we just have to accept that. So I accepted that. I got baptized that coming year, and it doesn't mean that I'm perfect now, you know what I mean? But I definitely look at the world differently and look at myself differently, and in a positive light. I know that's what we're called to do, is, just be a light to the world.
It's great stuff right there. I mean, I feel like there's definitely a lot in whether you're a baseball player, late night, there's always something next, but there's always some type of other external gratification that people are trying to chase that won't make you happy in the end. I mean, it's just not gonna do that. So have you seen that with maybe people that teammates, and maybe sharing that message with them?
Yeah, absolutely. In all different aspects, teammates, friends, just in this world, I think we're all, the culture is kind of focused on, like materialistic things. If you get a certain amount of money or you reach a certain level of status, that, you're gonna feel complete, but, you hear all these celebrities, you hear all these top athletes, they talk about it, like they get there and they're like, man, I feel like something's still missing, and that's God. That's what's missing in their life, so, I definitely, God's put me in different positions to be able to encourage people, to focus on the Lord. If they don't know about God, get to know him. And if they do know him, then to deepen their relationship, because it's a relationship. So you're constantly growing in it. You're never perfect. But, as athletes specifically, baseball specifically too, there's a lot of failure in the game, and it's a really mentally tough sport. And, I used to like have sleepless nights, I'm telling you, and like have a bad game. You go back and I'm just like staring at the ceiling, and I'm like just questioning everything, doubting everything. And, now like I sleep pretty soundly because I know that, God is in control. I could have an 0 for 4 night and still be content, that, I gave it my all, and I'm going to get an opportunity the next day. And I might go 4 for 4 the next day, because I have a better mindset, than before. It was almost a negative snowball effect. So there's definitely a lot of benefits, not just in personal life, but in athletics as well.
I feel like self-doubt too comes into play. I mean, baseball's a sport where you're going to be put down quick, and you might have a good game one day, but then you might strike out 3 times and have that doubt of even coming back from that the next day. So have you experienced that self-doubt and trying to bounce back from that?
Absolutely. It's huge. You look at some of the all-time great baseball players, Derek Jeter, right? That's like one of the first one that comes to my mind, being a shortstop. He's, one of the most consistent baseball players. And that's what made him great, because he was consistently performing at that high level. And, Mike Trout, is another great example, these players. And I started to study them, and I was like, what do they do differently, and what makes them successful, and what makes them be so consistent, and, obviously I'm from the outside looking in, and I'm not, in their own head. I'd love to ask them some questions someday. That'd be a great opportunity. But like when I was studying them, I started to find out that they fail as well. They have bad games, but they bounce back quicker than other players, right? They'll take their 1 for 4 days, you know what I mean? And even if they do have an 0 for 4 day, next day, they're bouncing back and not letting the game affect their next day, or even at bat to at bat. You'll see some younger players, maybe, not as experienced. They'll have a bad at bat, bad game, and they can't seem to get out of that, that rut. But, Derek Jeter, he shows up at the ballpark the next day, and he's the same person, you know what I mean? And baseball is a game where you can't always control the results, some of the best players, I've talked with and I've learned from, sports psychologists, Ken Revisa, he helped us at UCLA, and he worked with the Chicago Cubs, and he always talked about, focus on the process and the results will take care of themselves. And I think that's not only great advice for baseball, but life as well. It's like, if we just do the best we can each day, that, down the long run, we're going to look back at our life and be very, very proud of what we did, and very content, with what we did.
And as an athlete, I mean, the window is so small to when you're actually playing this game. And maybe you're playing this game for, I don't know, 10% of your life, if that. At some point, you're going to have to retire. So, I mean, I know you're doing a lot outside the game that you're really being able to create this identity for yourself. How important is it, do you think, for all athletes to find their true identity outside of their sport?
God willing, I'm playing professional baseball for many more years. I can see myself, if it's in God's will to play, 20 more years. I really believe it. But like you said, at some point in time, we don't know when that is, that everyone's career comes to an end, and nothing lasts forever. Besides, we know things eternally that last forever, but in this world, a lot of things are temporary, and people get so attached to things, and I was humbled, when I had baseball taken away from me, just in that brief period coming back from Tommy John. It affected me mentally, my identity, because my identity was fully in baseball, so I had that taken away from me. It's like the whole world seems to be crashing down, but when you have your identity in Christ and something more consistent and, rooted in love, connected with your family, connected with your friends, that, you're just a more happy person. You're more full of joy, and you don't look at your performance for whatever sport you're in, that, that's going to affect you so much mentally. It's a blessing every opportunity you get, since I had baseball taken away from me, that every time I get that opportunity to play baseball now, I look at it as just a great opportunity. That's why, I'm hustling, I'm running out the bases, I'm sliding, I'm, hitting the ball hard, throwing it hard, because you never know when your last day could be, and you don't want to take it for granted, and that's the same in life. We don't know when our last day is going to be, so we got to live each day to the fullest, 100%.
To the young ball players out there, what message do you have for them in order to maximize their happiness? I mean, playing the game. I mean, obviously you just mentioned it, if you play hard, it's going to be tough to look back and have any regrets about it. But, I mean, you're somebody playing at the professional level, and in order to keep still that confidence up and playing hard, what do you think the younger players are able to do to maximize that?
Absolutely. So it starts with love, just loving what you do, Kobe Bryant, I love Kobe Bryant. He talks a lot about that, your passion, where your passion comes from. It comes from love and loving what you do. And, if I didn't love baseball, I wouldn't do it. I'd find something I love. And, when you love something and, you work hard for a goal, it doesn't, it is still difficult sometimes, but it doesn't seem like work. You know what I mean? Like, even, you doing these interviews and stuff, like, I'm sure sometimes, some days it seems like it's work, but most times, like, this is your love, this is your passion, it's what you love to do. So it comes easy, so I would encourage young athletes to find what they love, try different things, to find your passion. There's so many great sports out there. There's so many great activities, and, don't limit yourself, really, like, dream big. You know what I mean? You really can achieve, anything you set your mind to. I believe with my three core things are faith, hard work, and perseverance. And, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, but I think, just to circle back to that question, young athletes, try different things, see what, you'll find what sparks you on the inside. When I'm playing different sports, I enjoy them and stuff, but I'm telling you, Billy, there is nothing like the passion I have for baseball. It's just different. I'm out there on the field. I really enjoy it. I really do.
Good stuff. And before we wrap up, I do want to mention that you do have a book coming out, right? It's called Laugh in the Face of Adversity. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
So the book is coming out. I was planning on having it come out in October. It looks like it's going to be early November, just a couple more weeks, because I wanted to add this past season. I thought it was a great addition this past season with the Kentucky genomes, and a couple people were suggesting that I add it to the book, because we're still finalizing the editing and getting, pulling different sponsors together. And we got some huge things coming too. We do some different book signings and stuff. But the as far as the content of the book, Laugh in the Face of Adversity is something my Uncle Mike told me when I was younger. Whenever I'm facing a difficult situation, to almost just like shrug your shoulders and laugh. You got to find some humor in things, because life is so difficult. Baseball is difficult. You got to find humor in it. And, also, just to be confident to, when you face an obstacle in your life, to not hide from it, to face it head on and crush it. You know what I mean? And so in my life, it hasn't been an easy journey, had, a lot of people doubt me when I was younger as I grew up, the injuries, the transfers, not getting drafted and making it to professional baseball and all these, amazing things. And God's taken me through that journey. He's been there every step of the way. And I wanted to be able to share my story, not for myself, but for others. So they can take some encouragement. They can be inspired through whatever they're going through in their life, because everyone's going through something, some adversity, some difficulty. And I want to be able to inspire people to overcome their challenges in their life, whatever they're going through. And so that's the goal of the book. And so it's going to be super exciting. My grandma, actually, she's helping me with the finishing, with the editing. She was a English teacher, and so she's very intelligent, helping me finish it up. But yeah, it's gonna be coming out soon. So I'll send you the information on that so you could share it around, and yeah, it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be good.
Absolutely. And Buddy Bell wrote the foreword, right?
Yes, that's right, Buddy Bell. So he's a minister in Montgomery, Alabama, and we met in a Christian conference down in Florida, Gulf Coast Getaway, Panama City, Florida. For I was down there for Fellowship Christian Athletes. I was on the leadership team in college, and so we met there. We kept in touch, and so I was honored to have him be able to write the foreword. So absolutely.
That's awesome. Absolutely. And Buddy Bell wrote the foreword, right?
Yes, that's right. Buddy Bell. So he's a minister in Montgomery, Alabama. And we met in a Christian conference down in Florida, Gulf Coast Getaway, Panama City, Florida. For I was down there for Fellowship Christian Athletes. I was on the leadership team in college. And so we met there. We kept in touch. And so I was honored to have him be able to write the foreword. So absolutely.
What's your website, and how could people find out more on social media too?
Yes, absolutely. So website, just www.gavinjohns.com, and social media. I believe you type in just Gavin Johns, but I think it's Gavin.Johns_. We have a new company too that I founded called Galvanized Global. It helps student athletes manage stress and achieve success. So if there's any student athletes out there, this is a great opportunity. I'm actually one of the mentors in it. And, we do weekly Zoom calls, one-on-one Zoom calls. It's all online, but we really want to help athletes, achieve their goals in athletics, academics, and their personal life. So
awesome stuff. Gavin, I appreciate you hopping on. Truly inspirational stuff, and I'm looking forward to the book coming out. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Billy, and thanks for having me on. We'll talk soon.
We'd like to thank you for tuning into this episode of Billy the Batboy's Corner. Man, Gavin Johns right there. what an inspirational story, doing everything he can to help spread his wisdom and knowledge with others. And I mean, on the baseball field's one thing, but what people do off of it is even more special and very commendable at that. If you'd like to learn more about what we're doing here with Billy the Bat Boy's Corner and Up On Game, be sure to follow on social media at Billy the Bat Boy, at Up On Game Network. Rate, review, subscribe, and don't forget, we're supporting the Father English Center in Paterson, New Jersey. And we'd like to thank you once again for checking out Billy the Bat Boy's Corner, presented by Up On Game.